Number 5, Washington, undefeated at the USC Trojans. This will be Saturday, 7:30 Eastern time on ABC. Couple things to account for in this game. LSU is looking to beat, LSU. Got LSU on my mind, don't I? USC is looking to beat a top 5 team for the first time since the 2017 Rose Bowl against Penn State. That was the 2016 season. I was there at that game. It was one of the greatest Rose Bowl games I've ever seen in my life. And amazingly enough, the Trojans are 46-40-1 all time against AP top 5 teams. They're the only team with a winning record versus AP top 5 teams. The only one. The only one. It's really amazing. Turnovers will be a huge factor in this game. And the Huskies, they have not played well the last 2 games against Arizona State and Stanford, both of which have a 2-6 record. And turnovers have been a big reason why those games have come down to the wire. They have had 6 turnovers the last 2 outings. And last year, that was USC's calling card on defense. They weren't great statistically, but they were great when it came to forcing turnovers. They were 6th in the FBS in forcing 28 turnovers. That was last year. This year, they're tied for 36 with 13 so far. So I think it could be a game that's decided by a mistake made or 2 by either side. USC's offense is remarkably dynamic. Zachariah Branch is ridiculous, guys. Absolutely ridiculous. Every time you watch him, the speed that's on display is on another level. There's just some guys, when you watch them on tape, there's a handful in college football this year, they just look different. Zachariah Branch is that guy. But not to be overshadowed, Taj Washington is averaging 20 yards per catch. That's the 8th best in college football. I mentioned Zachariah Branch a moment ago. He averages 9 yards after the catch per reception. That's insane. He also is a dynamic playmaker on special teams with a touchdown on punt and kick return this year. So special teams will be important in this one as well. But Taj Washington is the most dependable of the USC wide receivers. He's yet to drop a pass this year, and he's the only FBS player this season with at least 700 receiving yards and no drops. Can Washington take some of the pressure off their defense by finding just a little bit of balance? It's not been their calling card up to this point. They're throwing it nearly 2/3 of the time. And that, I don't think, is a recipe that they want to continue against a USC defense that has had a very difficult time stopping the run this year. Big plays are also going to be a huge factor in this game. USC is 2nd in college football with 63 plays that have gone 20-plus yards, and Washington's 3rd with 56 plays that have gone 20-plus yards. A huge matchup in the game is Michael Penix against Washington's weapons against USC's secondary. Now, if you look at what Penix has done up to this point, throwing the ball down the field, it's absurd. But USC has given up a ton of completions on passes that travel more than 20 yards downfield. They've given up 21 completions. That's the 4th most in the FBS. Opposing teams are completing 48% of their deep balls against the Trojan defense. That's the 7th highest in the FBS. They are 126th, giving up 48%. And this is not the get-right recipe with these weapons on the perimeter. Rome Odunze, off the charts good. Jalen Polk, off the charts good. They're the only duo in the FBS that rank in the top 15 in receiving yards, and both have also been among the best deep threats. All right, they each have 9 catches on passes that are traveling 20-plus yards downfield. They're both tied for 3rd in the FBS. They also make a ton of contested catches, which is something to take into account as well. And Jalen McMillan's missed the last 3 games due to injury, has not caught a pass since Michigan State. He played against Stanford initially, but seemingly reactivated his knee injury. I've not heard an update on his status heading into this one. So if he gets back, then the rich get richer for Washington. Big question is whether or not USC can apply pressure to Michael Penix. He becomes much more human under pressure than he does when he has a clean pocket. Under pressure, he's completing just 47% of his passes with 1 touchdown and 1 interception. With no pressure, 76% of his passes, 23 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. Now, teams have started to kind of blitz him a little bit more the last couple weeks. He was only blitzed 21% of the time in the first 5 games, but since the Oregon game, he's been blitzed nearly 40% of the time. So people are starting to do that as well. And the guys that will be applying pressure for USC's defense are legit. Bear Alexander's the Georgia transfer. He's the real deal there in the middle of the defense. They have an edge rusher in Jamil Muhammad that has a really good job off the edge, also has 6 sacks. So he really is going to be important for them as well. A couple of trends in the game. USC has failed to cover in 6 consecutive games. It's tied for the longest active cover losing streak in the FBS. USC has gone over the total in each of their last 7 games against AP ranked teams to start of last season, and the over-under of 76.5 will be the highest in any FBS game this season. I think it's going to be high scoring, and I'm taking the USC Trojans to pull off the upset here at home against the Washington Huskies. It feels like Washington's kind of limping into this one, not playing their best football. Meanwhile, everyone's writing USC off. USC's been left for dead by many, not by me. I think they get the job done and surprise the college football world by pulling off a stunner against the top 5 ranked Washington Huskies.